I'm going to build a graphical user interface program using Visual C++. I call it a GUI. It roughly follows the steps that I have listed here in one of my demo programs, but I'm going to add to it also. So be careful and good luck following me. You can always hit the pause button. Okay, let's open up Visual Studio. 2010 I'm using. Let's go to File, New Project. Let's click on Windows Forms application when we're in Visual C++. Give this a name. I'm just going to name it Store. I placed it on my desktop, by the way. I brought up the Toolbox here, Toolbox. I pinned it down here so it's on the left edge. I'm making sure the Solution Explorer is showing. View Solution Explorer. I also like the property window to be up. I'm making sure that View, Other Windows, Properties window is up, and I like to drag it over here and hover over this down icon so it's right here, and let's resize it. Okay, let's get to it. I'm going to immediately change the text property of my form by clicking up here in the blue title bar, Form 1. I'm also going to come over here and click on this A to Z icon. That puts all my properties in alphabetical order from A to Z or so. And by scrolling to the name property, or I'm sorry, the text property, I'm going to change this Form 1 to something interesting like store. Hit the Enter key on the keyboard, and now you see you've changed the word that shows up there. I'm also going to change the background color of my form by, again, making sure I'm clicked here. I'm just going to scroll up to the B's background color and click right in here and just pick an interesting color under these tabs so that you have a nice interesting background color. You can resize the form if you would like to. And now I would like to add a label. By double clicking label over here and dragging it to the top and scrolling down to its text property. See, I single clicked this, don't double click. If you double click by accident, it puts you into the nasty code window and you ended up making something that you didn't really want, which I'm going to carefully highlight and delete that code and go and click this X to go back to my design window. Don't double click. Okay, I single click this label 1. I change its text property to store. You can give it a cute name. By hitting the Enter key on the keyboard, it makes that word appear here in the label. That is a very small font. I'm going to change the font by clicking the font property here by clicking these 3 little dots. And jack it up to a larger size, make it bold, and maybe I'll even change the font and click OK. And you can, of course, position that anywhere you want. Now let's make some text boxes by scrolling. No, let's make another label, and let's put that label about right there and scroll to its text property and type in books. And let's now make something called a text box. Scroll the text box, let's put it to the right of the word books. Line things up a little bit. Make another label. Drag this label right below here, books. And let's call, for its text property, movies. Yet another text box. Drag it over here. Yet another label. Drag it down here, and let's type in peanuts for its text property. And one more text box. And now let's double click a button. Double click button, drag it down here, change its text property to something like submit. And maybe we need another label, yet another label positioned down here. And instead of text label 5, let's just put 0, the number 0. That's going to be the total price. In fact, let's move that over to the right a little bit and make another label and put it over here to the left And let's just say in its text property, total cost, and that looks good. Total cost. Okay, with all that those objects placed, I run the program to test it by clicking this green triangle. There are errors. I'm going to check those errors by dragging up this output window. I don't know what the errors are. I'm going to try, instead of compile, you can go to rebuild solution or build solution. And build failed. One line of code failed. I wonder what it is. Label one click is an undeclared identifier. When I double clicked one of these labels, I put some extra code into my code window that I don't want. Hopefully you did not double click these labels unnecessarily. I'm going to go to my view code and carefully find the line of code that I don't want. I don't want label click. And this is scary. You might have to start the project all over again, but this right here, I don't want that line of code. Notice that for label 1, I have this label 1 click, but for label 2 here, I don't have this label 2 click. I put this line of code in by accident when I unnecessarily double clicked a button or a label, and I only meant to single click it. So I deleted that line of code, and now I'm going to close my code window by clicking this X, back to the design window, and I'm going to run the program to see if it runs. Yes, this time it runs. Ignore that. That's my computer here at work doing something weird. Okay, it runs, but if I type in one book and click submit, it doesn't charge me any money. It's not working yet because I have typed no code into this program yet. I'm not really a computer programmer here. I'm just a designer. Now, let's double click the button. Make sure you've stopped your program by clicking any stop button here. Double click the button. Do double click the button. And that puts our blinking cursor right here. Well, back it up a little bit and move that curly brace down to a line all by itself, and click your cursor after the curly brace, and let's put some room in there. This is where you're going to put your interesting code, inside these curly braces, for what's called the button one click function or method. Go to my website and copy and paste the code that you find under GUI Demo 1, the code right here, highlight all of it, copy it, and let's paste it. Let's paste it in our project right here inside these curly braces. Paste. Okay, look at this code. I need to fix up the indentation a little bit by tabbing this first line in there. This is code that should look familiar. We studied most of this in our class. There's some extra stuff like string is null or empty, and this int parse, and this notation with this arrow text. That's a little new, but it's still 3 separate if statements, and let's see if it works. There is still a computational assignment statement here, and we do have some extra stuff like toString, and there's no cout, but this line of code does produce output. Let's run the program. When I run the program, I get a chance to buy things like one book. And let's not type anything for movies and peanuts. Submit. Oh, it's not printing anything out. Well, let's go see what the name, it's printing it out here, but not here. Interesting. I wanted the price to be here. Let's troubleshoot this. Right now, it's putting the total cost with a $sign in label 1's text property. Let's go over here to the design window and see what label 1 is. When I click on this, yes, the name property, which is label 1 here, or you could scroll up and see that the name property is label 1. I wanted the total cost to show up here. Well, the name of that label is label 5. I just made these labels in a different order than apparently I had made them before when I typed up that code that you borrowed. So we need label 5. We need to go to the code window here by clicking this tab and carefully changing this 1 to a 5. Now when I run the program and I type a 1 for the number of books and click submit, we do see $9 in the right spot. This is label 5, not label 1, and now the code does work correctly here, this last line of code. Let's trace this program so you'll understand it. When I run the program, if I click on the button, this code executes. We create these 3 little local variables, and we're using 3 constants. And then the code is checking if whatever's typed into text box 1, if whatever number is typed in there, right there, that's the number that's typed into the text property of text box 1. If that number is not nothingness or empty, don't worry about it too much, but the word null just means nothing, and empty just means empty. If whatever's typed in there is not, remember this is the not operator, if that string, if that phrase, if that word or number is not null or empty, then do go into this if statement. So if when I run the program I type the number 1 in here, then it is not empty, and therefore we do execute this code. Then what it's doing is it's taking that 1 that was entered there as text. Even though it looks like the number 1, it's really treated as the letter 1, I guess you could say, a letter, not a number. And we are parsing it and turning it into an int. This just converts a number, converts text into a number, into an int. And that int that all of this turns into is assigned and put into the variable numbooks. So numbooks is now no longer 0, it's the number 1. This is just something you have to do to convert the text that is typed in here into a number so it can be mathematically used behind the scenes. The same thing would be done if I typed anything into text box 2 and 3 for movies and peanuts. You can experiment with that later. Then this line of code executes where numbooks, the variable numbooks is now 1, and 1 times 9 is 9, and all of this works out to be 0 because I'm not buying movies or peanuts. So the number 9 is stored in the variable total cost, which can store decimal numbers because it's a double. And then that number, 9.00, is converted back to a string. And it's concatenated or glued together with a $sign. And that whole expression, $9, is then put into the text property of label 5, which, as we already have noticed, is this. So that 0 gets replaced with, in this test case example, the number 9 with a $sign. Let's test it again. Running the program, I type a 1, I click submit, and it turned into that. Now what happens if I type a 2? Well, we should see 18, and we do. Okay, now let's add some extra code here to make it better. In one of my demo programs somewhere on the website, in one of our demo programs, way back here, while loop program number 4, there was an if-else statement that looked like this. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it in here in place of this numbooks, or actually right below it. I'm going to right-click and paste it there. The indentation is messed up, so tabbing that in where I need to. Now you should have code that looks something like this. Let's put a blank line there for good style. So right below this numbooks equals int parse, we have this if else. We are now making sure that the customer only types numbers between 0 and 10. And if it is a number between 0 and 10, we're adding that to total numbooks, which is a whole new variable I'm adding here. So let's come up here to the declaration area and create total numbooks. And because we want that to be a running total that doesn't reset to 0 every time this button is clicked, I'm going to put the word static in front of it. You'll see what that does, the word static. And we can't see out. That won't work, but what we can do is create another label, maybe a label down here at the bottom that's going to tell the user that he did something wrong. Now notice, it's named label 7. And for now, let's go into its text property and just put a bunch of like dashes in there so that it doesn't say anything, but it's a placeholder for some error message. Again, it's label 7. So instead of cout invalid input, let's replace this code with label 7 and then the arrow operator here, and then the word text with a capital T and an equal symbol. Something very similar to what we've done elsewhere in the program, and delete this endl but keep the semicolon. Now we are telling somebody that they typed invalid input if they typed a number over 10 or less than 0. Let's test the program by running the program. Now when somebody buys 1 book, everything's good. But if they try to buy 100 books, they get invalid input. Oh, but it's still adding up $900. I don't want that. So, I'll let you try to figure that out, or maybe I'll do it later. I don't want that to add into the total if numbooks is over. Oh, I know what I need to do. Down here in my total cost computation, instead of numbooks, I need to now use total numbooks with a capital N. Now when I test the program and I buy 1 book successfully, it adds up. If I buy another small number of books, like 2 books, it does correctly add that onto the running total. But if I try to buy, say, 999 books, it tells me invalid input, and it does not add the cost of the illegal quantity of books into the running total. So far, this program's working fine with those few minor changes that you could go back and watch the video or pause. There's the code that we have so far. Now, let's use a function. Let's go to one of my other demo programs in the website and find a function to use. Right here, compute book cost function. Here was a function that I'm going to copy and paste and paste it right below this curly brace, but above these 2 curly braces. And let's tab it in there for good style. And instead of having 1 parameter amount, let's do a comma double book price. So there you go. And right here where it says total numbooks times book price, let's call that function by naming it compute book subtotal, and then in a following set of parentheses, type in total numbooks, comma book price, so that we're passing 2 parameters to that reusable function for good style. There's a call statement. It'll be your job to do all of these things with num movies and num peanuts. So with that small change, this is a call statement here that calls a function that's typed out down here. Let's run the program and see if it still works. One book costs $9. 3 more books adds up to 36 bucks. An illegal number of books, like 222, does not get added in and invalid input displays. And if I buy 1 book, it adds it up, but it still says invalid input. I don't like that. So anytime that you are successful and you type in a correct number of books between 0 and 10, maybe at that moment you want to clear out that label 7 by typing in the empty string 2 quotes next to each other, so it clears that out, or let's put the hyphens back in so that it's consistent. Okay, you can scroll through and examine this code. And now it's just a matter of you adding comments, doing things with movies and peanuts that I just did with books. And let's make the interface even prettier here. Let's add a picture box. Put the picture box somewhere, like, well, let's just say that corner right there. In the picture box's image property, well, let's go get a graphic from the internet. Let's just get a picture of books. Let's view that image and let's save it to our, let's save it somewhere to our downloads folder and call it books. And let's go to our program again. Make sure, whoops, I just added something I didn't want to add, so I'm going to right click and delete it. Make sure that your picture box is selected. Scroll to its image property, and where it says none, click the dot dot dot. Go to your location where you stored your, you downloaded that picture. There's mine, downloads folder, click open. And now the picture's in there, but with that picture box you have to go to its size mode property and change that from normal to stretch image. Now you have a picture that you could put somewhere on your form to decorate this project. Maybe you want to get a picture of a movie and some peanuts also. Okay, that's about it. There's a lot more, of course, you can do with this program. Anytime you run the program here, the picture will show up and it will calculate the number of books that you ordered as a running total. And if you need to upload this project to the a Dropbox or something, you could always go into this project and find, you can go into this project wherever you have it stored and go into its inner debug folder, and right there is the exe, which you can always execute by double clicking. Oh, that's an old version of the exe. That's not, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong project here. My project is called store, that's where I meant it to be. You can go into your debug folder and double click the application exe file, which is this one right here, and it will run the program right from the exe. Unfortunately, the source code is not easy to sort of see. The source code, which is found in form1.h. Right here, if you opened up form1.h into a text editor, this is the code that we just explored. At the very bottom is the code that we typed into the button one click function, also known as a method. That's the code we typed. Don't mess with any of the code that was up above. In other words, in this source file, oh, I didn't want to do that. In this source file, where we just were here, in this source file, be careful to only put code in the button one click method. If you mess up any of the code that's up above this, I might not be able to save it. Be careful and delicate if you try to get bold and change things up here. Okay, that's it. Make sure that you use good indentation and style standards. Put your name somewhere, like maybe you put your name in a little header like right here, and the name of the project, and I don't know, the day of the week that you have my class, and anything else that you want to say. Your comments can go right there if you wish, right there kind of above the button one click method. The program should still work. Let me test it. And it does. That's it. There you go.